episode on either channel. I have two channels, we'll get into that. For people who are going through breakups or divorce, I'm just coming out of a marriage after 5 months and would love some advice. So, first of all, to the person who requested this, you know who you are, and I am sending you so much love and just a big virtual hug in this time, and I hope that this video can bring you some comfort. And while I haven't been through a divorce, I have been through enough in my 27 years of life that I feel like I can talk on this topic and talk about what has worked for me. So I'm either gonna title this video something like ASMR for the brokenhearted, or like Sam's Guide to Heartbreak. I don't know, something like that. But I'm gonna walk you through kind of like step by step ish of just what worked for me and ways that I think could help you. But before we get started, I'm gonna be a good YouTuber because I never do this, and I'm gonna let you know some other ways that you can connect with me other than just here on YouTube with my 2 videos a week. So one, I do have a second channel. It is on YouTube, so you can go check that out for free. And I post an occasional vlog here and there, as well as I have a podcast over there. So that channel is 𝓢𝓸𝓬𝓲𝓪. My podcast is called The Walk Podcast. We are 10 episodes in already, which is crazy. And they are longer episodes. The last, I think, like 3 or 4 episodes have been like 40 minutes to like a little over an hour. So they're longer, and I just talk about things that I'm going through. I talk about dating, heartbreak, faith, kind of just whatever comes to mind, or whatever I feel like is on my heart. So the link to that is in the description, and I am headed to Seattle very soon, and I will be vlogging the whole trip. So if you want to go see that and watch some non-ASMR videos from me, then that is the place to do so. Second way that you can get more content from me is over on my Patreon. It is linked down below. And after talking with my patrons this past week, we are restructuring things a little bit, like a little bit. It's the same price, it's just $3 a month. You will still be getting 3 extra videos from me that are never posted here on YouTube for the public. And every month you will get 1 purely whispered life update. That is the last video of every month. You will get 1 day in the life vlog. It will be ASMR format. And then the third one will just be any video that I want to make for you. ASMR video, of course. So you'll get 3 extra videos a month from me. So the link to that will be down below as well. So I never plug those things like normal YouTubers do, but I thought I would this time. So yes, let's get into the actual topic of this video, and that is heartbreak and breakups. So like I said, I've been through 2 real breakups, like out of long-term relationships. One relationship was 3 years, and the other one was a little under 2 years, for context. So I feel like I can definitely talk about this topic, and I do feel like I could make this video hours long because I have so much to say, but I'm gonna make it concise and kind of simplified for right now, because when you're going through something like this, you don't want to just be flooded and like bombarded with a bunch of information. So I'm gonna make this just like as simple as I can. I want to say that these are things that worked for me, so they may not work for you, or they may not have worked for you in the past, and that's totally okay. I think the comment section would be a great place to support each other under this video with, you know, what worked for you, so that others can read and you know, feel not alone, because breakups can feel very, 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 very isolating and very lonely. So I would love for all of us to come together and just support each other on this topic, because I get it. So yeah, this is what worked for me, okay? Take everything I say with a grain of salt, but this would be my sisterly advice for you, or my friendly advice for you. So I will start off by saying, I know that a breakup can feel like the end of the world. It can be incredibly painful, emotionally, even physically, mentally. It's one of the worst things you will go through. Not the worst thing, but one of the worst things. And of course, everything that I'm going to say too, it depends on what kind of breakup you had. Some people have really amicable, friendly breakups where they're like, I still love you, but like, we're just not compatible anymore, and they go their separate ways, but they're okay, you know, they don't hate each other. And some people go through breakups that aren't as pretty, and you just never talk again, and it wasn't a clean break, and that unfortunately is a reality for a lot of breakups. So again, it just kind of depends what kind of breakup we're talking about. But I know it probably feels like the end of the world right now. I am living proof. I promise you it gets better. I promise you it's not gonna happen in a day. It's not gonna happen in a week. But it gets better. There is light at the end of the tunnel. I promise you. Your girl, I went through a breakup in January of this year, and I was unwell. I'm talking like days where I couldn't stop crying. I had so much hurt. I felt so much betrayal. For context, it was not a friendly breakup. And I was left with a lot of hurt, a lot of questions, a lot of just, that's a whole separate topic, but your girl was not doing well. And now I am, and I say this with full confidence, I feel like the best version of myself I have ever been in my whole 27 years on this earth. So I am living proof that it gets better. I promise you, okay? So just keep that in the back of your mind. Now the first step I want to talk about is the way you exit this relationship. Now again, it depends. Maybe you wronged someone, maybe they wronged you, or maybe it was one of those amicable breakups, which if it was, I love that for you. Like, I really do. I admire people that can break up and still, you know, have like an okay relationship with each other. You know, I have never experienced that, and I can't imagine, but I respect it. But the way you exit this relationship is so important. You have to walk, even if you're hurting, even if you're angry, even if you're sad, exit with grace. And this is one of those situations where you're gonna have to fake it till you make it. You can go cry in a second, but when people are looking and you're leaving this relationship, try your best to leave with grace, with your head high, with dignity, with self-respect, and respect for others, even if they wronged you, because that speaks volumes about you. I also want to say, I don't want you, and I say this from a place of love, because I have done it, and I want you to learn from my mistakes. I don't want you to ever beg somebody to love you. I don't want you to beg anybody to stay, because you are worth so much more than that. So much more than that. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail about my situation. It's in the past. I have healed, I have grown, I have moved on. But just to provide an example, I was in a place where I was betrayed and I was wronged. Not to say that I was perfect. I was not a walk in the park. I had a lot to learn about relationships, a lot to learn about myself, a lot to learn about my insecurities. But But I was always loyal and I always had good intentions. And I was betrayed in a way that was very painful. And I begged somebody, I begged him not to leave me. And it was the lowest point in my life. And I look back to that girl now and I can't believe I did that, because me now would never, would never. So that's the first thing I want to say to you. I know you're hurting. Part of you may even want that person back. Don't ever, ever beg, because what is for you, I truly believe this, what is for you and what is meant to be for you will never leave you. If it leaves you, it didn't see your value and it's not for you. Whatever isn't for you, you don't have the power to keep. I truly believe that. So if somebody walks away from you, they don't value you, and that's not a person that you need. It's painful. It sucks. It feels like you're dying inside. You deserve so much better. I promise you. I promise you. Okay? So that's the first thing I want to say. The next thing I will say, in my experience, the first 2 weeks-ish, maybe 3, are the most painful. That is the time frame where it really feels like you're dying, and you are in mourning. You're in mourning. It feels like you're mourning a death, because that person is no longer in your life. Someone that was maybe your person, right? That it was your best friend that you talked to all day, or you saw every day, or if you were married, that you slept next to every day. That was your person. And when you don't have them in your life anymore, there is a huge void there. And so it feels like you're mourning a death. That's why it's so painful. Okay? So in the first 2-3 weeks, what I want you to do is I want you to surround yourself as best you can with people who love you and people who will uplift you. Okay? This is the point where you kind of want to distract yourself almost. Now, I understand some people have friends and family. I want to recognize that there are people out there that maybe don't have as many friends or family, and I feel for you, and for that I would say go get involved somewhere, whether it's a gym, whether it's a church, whether it's wherever you feel comfortable, a place where you can meet like-minded people to build community. It's hard, but I promise it'll be worth it. But for me, the first couple weeks, it was very, very hard for me to be alone, and I really had to rely on friends and family to come stay with me, or for me to go visit them, go out to dinner with your parents, your siblings, your best friends, whatever. This is the point where it's okay to distract yourself, so you're not just sitting there in bed crying 24/7. Okay, so that helps. What I will say, it's okay to be there, for 2-3 weeks, whatever, distract yourself, but you can't stay there. At a certain point, you are going to have to let the pain out. You have to. That's the only way that you're really going to heal, is if you cry it out. If you want to scream, you scream. If you want to break dishes in your driveway, whatever you need to do, you need to let it out. Journaling, writing things down is a great way to do it. Either way, it has to come out. And yes, talking to people about it is good. It helps. It's a way to get it out. I did that. But at a certain point, I truly believe that you have to sit there by yourself and you just have to let it out. There were so many nights I came home from work and I sat on my couch and I just cried. I just let it out, because it has to come out. That's one of the best ways for you to heal. Keeping it in here is going to make you anxious. It's going to make you dwell on it more, and it's going to keep it longer. So it has to come out. And again, that's gonna look different for everybody, but let yourself feel it. It's okay to cry. It's more than okay to cry. It's healthy to cry. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whether you're whatever, it doesn't matter. Cry it out. Do it when no one's watching. Who's gonna know? Your dog, your fish, your cat. Who cares? No one's gonna know. Let it out. However it makes you feel good. And you're gonna probably have to do that a couple times. And that's okay. It's more than okay. And that leads me to my next point. Healing is not linear. You're gonna have, I don't know for sure, but for me, I would have a day where I was like, wow, I feel really strong today. I still remember the first day that I realized it had been 24 hours since I cried. And I was like, wow, look at me. I'm healing. And then the very next day, I had a really bad day and I cried multiple times. And I remember being like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, well, I thought I was good. Like, what happened? And I remember speaking to my therapist about it. And, I learned that healing isn't linear. It's not just going to be like a straight path. You're going to have a day where it's really good, but then you're going to dip and you're going to have a bad day. And then you're going to have a really good day. Maybe 2 good days. And then you're going to have a bad day. Give yourself grace. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's okay. It is more than okay. Okay? So, healing isn't linear. I also want to say, back to my point of like, talking about it, it is good to talk about it. You gotta let it out. But at a certain point, and there's no time frame for this, I'm not gonna limit it to just 2-3 weeks, but at a certain point, you're gonna have to stop talking about it. Because talking about it not only keeps it alive longer, it keeps you tethered to the hurt longer. At a certain point, you have to just kind of give it up and try to let it go. And again, fake it till you make it. I heard somebody describe it as like when you keep talking about something, especially if somebody's wronged you, it creates almost like an invisible umbilical cord between you and the person or the hurt or the situation or whatever. It keeps it there and it keeps it alive. And so it keeps the hurt, even though you feel like you're talking about it and you're getting it out. Yeah, but then when you go home and you're alone, it's gonna keep stirring in your mind because you're keeping it alive. At a certain point, you gotta just be like, I'm brushing my hands of it. It's done. I'm done. That's it. That is harder to do. I remember, it's easier said than done. I remember when the moment I realized why I kept talking about it in the beginning, and it's because when you're still talking about it, it's almost like that person is still in your life. So as long as you're talking about it, it's still relevant, because once you stop talking about it, you really have to let them go. And that's really hard to do. Even in my case, my last breakup, from the second we broke up and he left this apartment, I never wanted him back. It wasn't about that for me, but I was still mourning the void that he left. The absence of his presence, the absence of having that person, And by me talking about it over and over again, it made me feel like I still had something there. Does that make sense? So if that's where you are right now, I totally get it. And I understand, and I see you, and I am validating your feelings, because your feelings are valid. They are so valid. You're not wrong for feeling the way that you feel. It's actually quite normal to feel the way that you feel. So, yeah. The next thing I will say is I want you to try your hardest, your absolute hardest, to go no contact. And if you're unfamiliar with what no contact means in the context of it. They're in the past. You're not friends with them on social media. You're not texting them. You're not Snapchat. There's no communication. You can't see what they're doing. They can't see what you're doing. I'm telling you, the second that we broke up and he was gone, the very first thing I did, all social media platforms gone. I didn't block because that felt like mean. I didn't block, but I unfollowed him on everything. I'm talking Venmo. I'm talking, what else? LinkedIn. All the things gone. Because one, I didn't want to see what he was doing. It's not my place to know what he's doing, because he chose to no longer be in my life, right? So he doesn't get access to me, and I don't want access to him. Now again, if you break up and you're still friends, I respect you, and I guess that would be different. I can't really speak to that because I've never been through that. But if it is not such a great breakup, and you really find yourself, like, just really, really hurt, or maybe you want them back or whatever, I really encourage you, really, to go no contact. Not only did I take him off of everything, I unfollowed all of his friends too, and I blocked them all from seeing my story. And there are a couple people that I didn't unfollow, but I maybe muted their stories, like some of the girls or whatever that I liked anyway, because I didn't want to see anybody that would maybe post photos of him. I didn't want to know. Ignorance is bliss, especially while you're healing. And again, he had no right to see what I was doing anymore. That was it, So I really encourage you, they are in your past. They are an ex for a reason, and you need to leave them now in the past. They don't get access to your future. Okay? Even if you are the one that broke up with them, I am telling you, there is really no benefit that I can think of personally of still having them on your social media. And even if you unfollow each other, right? If they're on public, you can still look, right? I've heard of many people that have done it. I have done it once, and let me tell you, I regretted it, because of the way I felt walking away from that was a million times worse. You're gonna be curious. It's okay to be curious. That person was a big part of your life, so of course you're gonna be like, I wonder what they're up to. Don't look. There's no benefit. It's gonna make you feel worse, and now I'll never look again, because I know how it felt to look. Don't hurt your own feelings. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. They are in your past now, and as much as it hurts, they need to stay there. There are instances, of course, I want to recognize, because I want to recognize all different situations. There are situations where people do get back together. That may be your situation, they might not be. Either way, if it is something that you're going to come back together or whatever, it will happen without you having to force it. Meaning, you can keep them in the past still, you can keep them off of all your social medias, and if it's meant to be, you guys will find your way back to each other. That will never be my situation, but it might be different for you, so I just want to acknowledge that does happen. But I still think, even if you're on a break, I don't really believe in breaks, but let's just say, for argument's sake, whatever, you're broken up for a little bit, and then you're gonna get back together, fine. But in that break, I still think that there should be no access to each other, because you're not gonna be able to think clearly. You're not gonna be able to have unclouded judgment if they're still there. You're just not. Okay, so no contact really is the smart way to go. I promise you. What else do I want to say? especially if it's a not so good one and it's a very hurtful one. One of the worst things you can do is immediately try to download a dating app and go out with other people. Now, I want to say that I understand why you would do it. I'm not judging you. I know people that have done it personally. But you're really just putting a band-aid on an open wound that needs stitches. It's not gonna work. It's gonna lead to more hurt, it's gonna lead to more confusion, and you're taking your baggage that's not healed yet, and you're dooming this next thing before it even begins. I knew that I had to do some serious work on myself for when I was gonna date again. If I had tried to date after all that, oh man, the poor man, whoever he would have been, that poor soul. I knew that I had to get right with myself. I had to fix myself. I had to fix what was going on in here and in here. And so I didn't speak to a man for March, April, like four months. And some of you may think that's really quick. Some of you may think it's really short. I mean, really long, whatever. It didn't feel long, to be honest with you. I was really just working on myself, learning about myself, really reflecting on the past relationship, what I did wrong, what they did wrong, what I learned, what I wanted to do differently in the next relationship. And I think that that's really, really, really important. Therapy was a huge help. I am not in therapy anymore, but I did it for 8 months, not 9, 8 months, around 8, and it was a huge help. So, wow, I totally just had complete brain fart. Like, my mind literally just went blank. What was I saying? I was talking about therapy. Oh, fixing yourself. Sorry, wow. Yeah, I really recommend taking the time to just be alone. Not alone, like in life, but like romantically. As cheesy as it sounds, date yourself. I started buying myself flowers once a month, and let me tell you, I was getting more flowers single than I was in a 2-year relationship, and it made me happy. I would have solo date nights where I would order sushi, light a candle, and watch a movie on like a Sunday night, or, you know, whatever, travel. It just really, like, love up on yourself. It's okay to do that. I feel like our society, like, makes it seem like you're being selfish or arrogant if you do that. I think it's actually a really good form of self-care to just love up on yourself, date yourself, make yourself feel special, make yourself feel like, yeah, I'm deserving of flowers. Not everybody likes flowers. You find your thing, whatever. I always liked flowers, and I didn't get them as often, as I would have liked. So once a month I buy myself flowers. I have a fresh bouquet in my kitchen right now, and I love it, you know. And that also sets the standard for when I am in my next relationship. Like, I would like to have some flowers, you know what I mean? Like, it sets a different, like, standard for yourself. I don't know. So yeah, take the time, love up on yourself, and then at a certain point, I will say, it does become important to get yourself back out there. And like, I went on dates with guys, and obviously none of them turned into a relationship, but I really think about things very deeply now, and I learned something from every single one. Literally every single one. I learned something that I took moving forward. It's important, and dating can be fun. It's annoying sometimes, yes, it's stressful. The apps are not great places all the time, but you can learn a yourself, what you like, what you don't like. And then, like, I remember dates when I first started dating again. Oh my god, the first one, I was like shaking. I was like in the Uber on the way there. I was terrified. And then by the last one that I went on like a month ago, I was like, okay, let's do this. Like, you know, it helps you grow. It really does. So, and I will say too, once you have like healed and done your thing and you feel better, much better, going on a date with somebody else puts them at the forefront of your mind, so that, you know, now you have other people to think about and it's not just your ex. You know, does that make sense? Do you know what I mean by that? It kind of like distracts you, because even if you are healed and you're fine and, you know, you don't wish that person any harm or whatever, it's still normal for it to pop into your head every once in a while. Don't feel bad if it does. But, you know, it gives you somebody else to focus on. And it kind of shows you that, okay, you're in your new chapter now. And that's good. That's okay. That's what you want. You know, so, yeah. I think I have pretty much touched on everything that I wanted to. I mean, the journey is going to look different for everybody, and you really have to soul search and find what works for you, you know? What brings you joy. For me, it's going to church, it's serving at church, it's serving others, it's reading with lo-fi music playing in the background, it's I went to Starbucks over the summer and sat outside by myself and read with a tea in my hand. I've never done that in my life, and it made me so happy, you know? Find what makes you feel joyful. That's gonna look different for you than it is for me, but really take this time to figure out what makes you happy and then dive into those things. And while you're doing your own thing and you're in your lane and you are just focused on bettering yourself and your life, then the right person will come along. I truly believe that, and that's where I am right now. So yeah, so I hope that you guys got something away from this. I hope that it was relaxing, but also educational, uplifting. I hope you feel a little bit more liberated after listening to this, a little more hopeful, and I would love it if you shared it with a friend that you know is going through heartbreak. And I know it's weird because this is an ASMR video, I get it. Just tell them, you know, if you can get past the whispering part, you know, I really, like, I thought of you when I listened to this, and I hope that you can get something away from it, you know. If you are not subscribed, I would love for you to subscribe, and I really want to start making more content like this. Like, I really have so much on my heart that I want to share, because I truly believe that I went through everything I went through because I am meant to help people learn from my mistakes and to not feel alone when going through something like this. I really, really feel passionate about it. So I want to start posting things like this on my TikTok, which I think is just 𝓢𝓸𝓬𝓲𝓪. I always forget what it is. I think it's Sam with 2 M's. Sorry. What is my username? Sam with 2 M's D16. So if you're not following me on TikTok, I'm gonna start posting little things like this over there. So if you're interested, just go follow me over there as well as my second channel. We talk all about faith, all about breakups, all about maturing and growing in life and all the things. And so I would love to have you join me on those other platforms. But thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you in my next video.